Alright, so this is my first time doing this podcast and doing anything like this, so I don't know where to look and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing either. Yes, I swear, I apologise. Basically, I'm Daniel. Um, been dealing with some shit lately, going through some anger issues and whatnot, and I've been struggling to find things that work for me. So I figured I did find something that has worked for me. Accountability, being accountable, being held accountable for my outbursts. Recently had a relationship fall through after 11 years, and it was basically just because of my anger, because I was just mad all the time. Um, so yeah, just here to talk about that and maybe talk with other people about what they're going through. And if I seem disinterested, it's because I don't know where to look. I'm kind of more anxious about doing this because it's putting myself in a very vulnerable position, but again, I think it's another way that's going to help me sort of deal with this stuff. I'm hoping that this is working. There we go. So yeah, um, I'm not a violent person, never have been a violent person. My relationship didn't break down because of violence, so I'm happy about that. Just a loud person, I like to yell. Um, Sometimes it's just easier for me to yell about my situation rather than calmly explain it. And then I'd get relief and a sense of well-being from yelling, which was good for me, but it didn't help anyone else around me. Um, so, yeah, as a result, I lost my partner who put up with me for 11 years. 11 years of me being an asshole and yelling and carrying on and misdirected anger. And I've decided it's time to take a good look at myself. Um, yeah, basically so, we met working together at Hog's Breath, local restaurant chain that's no longer a thing down here. And we just fell head over heels in love with each other. It was heavy, fast, amazing love. And then, we went through some things, and I think that's where everything started was my nephew was going through epilepsy. He had a rare form of epilepsy where he'd have a couple of hundred seizures a day. And maybe once a month or maybe sometimes once a fortnight he'd end up being rushed to hospital, and I wasn't talking to anyone about that, and I wasn't dealing with that in a healthy way. So I think that was probably the big start of it, was having all this anxiety and fear about what was going on with my nephew, and thinking that it was weak to talk about how I was feeling about it. And it wasn't. It was weak to just get angry and just yell and find relief in yelling and being angry. Which again, it's not healthy to do. Unfortunately, it seems like it's too little too late. I've tried reconciling things with her and she's just not interested, and I somewhat can't blame her. It was, yeah, so look, back to the story so you get some sort of an understanding of what happened. So yeah, had the nephew, he was unwell, that was causing me stress. And then I'm pretty sure Freedom's mum took her life because she was dealing with a lot of things as well. And then within a fortnight or a month of that, my nephew died. And we never really addressed Freedom's mum dying because it was sort of pushed to the side because Max died. And I don't know, I selfishly just made it all about me as opposed to helping her get through arguably the toughest time she's ever gone through, which was a really shit thing on my part. And neither of us seeked any counselling, grief counselling or anything for what we'd been through. She'd lost her mum. I lost my nephew. I was living with my brother at the time as well. I lived with him from the day that he was born until, a couple of years after he'd passed. So I had a very, very, very close relationship with him as well. So dealing with that or not dealing with that is probably another big thing. And then the house that we lived in, it was me, my brother, his missus, and my missus, and then my partner's son, my son. That's the one person, London, and Max. So 6 of us crammed into this house, and then one of those people died, and then none of the leftover people got any counselling or grief counselling. So that house just became a toxic environment to be in. So we sort of, my partner and I started just going, all right, maybe it's just the house and the environment, we need to get out of here. We didn't bother looking into any sort of counselling or anything like that, which we definitely should have. But again, we were just sort of like, nah, it's the house. It's the house. The house is cursed. So once we move out and we get our own space, everything will be sweet. And we did. And I got a new job. I had lots of jobs. I ended up working at a restaurant around the corner from us. And good restaurant, good place to work. And then we got a new chef in, and I didn't like the way they ran things because I'm an angry fucker, and instead of doing what I should have done and falling in line, I basically just went, nah, fuck this, and walked out of a really good job and went and got a job delivering meat. And that job was really good. It was a salary. I was working maybe 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day if it was a hectic day. So it was good. Salary job. So still got paid for a 38-hour week, and even though I was only working 20s. And then there was a incident at work where I hurt myself. Well, I slipped my L3, L4, S1, S2, and actually had to go on work cover. And that was the beginning of the end. That was the actual beginning of the end. That was when everything just went pear-shaped. I got injured and Freedom stepped up and babied me. She looked after me. And I just took advantage of it. I leaned into it. I was injured. I was sore all the time. Um, Eventually got surgery that was supposed to be a 90 something percent success rate, and wouldn't you know it, I fell in the, less than 10% that the surgery didn't take for. So that hit me. I was pretty depressed about that, and I was seeking help for that, for my depression from the injury and all that sort of stuff, but I still wasn't seeking help for everything else that was going on. And I eventually got off all of the pain meds that they'd put me on, and just the whole time I was just angry all the time. Anytime anything happened, I just so quick to jump down her throat. And she put up with it, for so fucking long. And then one day she left, so I didn't have a job still. I'd gotten my payout had come and been. I tried starting a food truck business, which I just didn't have the motivation to do because I was fucking depressed. Eventually sold that, and then I was just a bum living off her, making her support me. And I was a real piece of shit. And still she stuck around and kept helping me out, and yeah, she eventually had too much and she left, and after she left she tried couples counselling, and we tried that and it did not work. The guy was a flop. I was a flop as well. I wasn't in a place where I was actually ready to be counselled. I was sort of just doing it to keep her happy and to shut her up, which is not the right reason for me to have done it. Like, a lot of me wanted to save the relationship as well, but my heart wasn't there, and I sort of really didn't look at myself as being enough of a problem. I was constantly making excuses for myself, and other people around me were making excuses for me too. It was always just, oh, you're injured, you've been injured, you've gone through a lot, you're recovering, blah, 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 blah. As long as you're not hitting her, it's not that bad, blah, 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 blah. And just convinced myself that there was nothing wrong. And then, we sort of worked through things a little bit, I guess. We didn't really fucking talk about anything. I just sort of managed to keep my shit together for a little while, using these sort of techniques, being accountable for things, looking back on my day and being like, why did I get angry at that? What could I have done to not be so angry at that? So on and so forth, which we're going to go into later. And then, she came back. We had a kid. We had my daughter, my first daughter. And instead of helping and doing what a dad does, I just hid behind my injury. I can't pick her up, I can't do this, I can't change nappies, I can't get on the floor to do this, that and the other, and just, I was a fucking piece of shit. I'm not going to hide behind it, and I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't, because I was. But I don't think... No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I don't think if I went through that I wouldn't have made these steps that I did. I definitely could have pulled my finger out a lot sooner. And that's basically what I'm trying to do with this podcast, I don't know who's going to see it. Hopefully a lot of people, hopefully just the people who need to see it. I don't care if it takes off or whatever. Just so long as when someone needs it, it's there for them. That's all I want. Again, I'm sorry for not talking to the camera. I have severe anxiety. Even talking to myself without any response like this is doing my head in. Sort of normally like to bounce things off people. This is the longest I've spoken without a response in a long time. But I'm getting sidetracked. I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, she put up with me. We got back together. And things started to get better. Things did start to get better. I got a job. I got a full-time job cleaning pools. So I was starting to contribute and bring in funds. But I still wasn't pulling my weight with the baby. And that was stressful. And then I was very self-involved. Very self-involved. The world revolved around me. Everything revolved around me. Whatever was happening needed to be done to suit me, and I wasn't really willing to bend to do something for someone else, which was really selfish and really shit. But I couldn't see it. I was so blinded by depression, and then I was so proud of myself. Like, I have a right to be proud of myself. I was told I wasn't going to be able to get back to a full-time job ever, let alone a physical one. I was told I'd be maybe like 40% capacity for the rest of my life, and I pulled my finger out, and I've gotten full-time work again, and I work hard, bust my ass, and I'm good at what I do. But I was sort of resting on my laurels a lot, in the sense of I was just too busy patting myself on the back to see what an actual problem I was, and how much of a problem I was, and how much turmoil I was causing in the relationship. You know, my boss is an asshole. He's an absolute fucking prick of a bloke. And he doesn't know how to talk to people. Instead of telling you that you've done something wrong, he'd just yell at you and basically talk to you like you're a moron until you got it through your head. Like, there was literally one time he was like, I need you to get it through your head that this is how this works, even though it was the first time he'd told me it. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that. That's probably another podcast, another episode of the podcast that we'll do it on. Sorry if the sound's going up. Sorry if this sounds shithouse. Like I said, this is my first time doing this. And yeah. So yeah, back to my main story. I'll do this a lot. I'll get sidetracked and then remember that I've gotten sidetracked and get back to it, and then sometimes I won't. So yeah, I started work, and then I was coming home in a foul mood because I was getting treated like shit at work, and then I didn't feel like I was getting patted on the back hard enough when I got home. You know, my missus wasn't running to suck my dick the second I walked in the door and sing my high praises for going out and doing what a normal guy should do, even though for some reason I had this fucking delusion that this is what should be happening. Like, I've just overcome a serious injury. What are you doing? We were told I was never going to fucking work again. Told I was never going to walk without a fucking cane again, let alone work again. And here we are, and it's not important, because I was just being a shit fucking person. I couldn't see the fucking forest through the trees. I don't know if that's the right place to use that. I'm sure someone will fucking tell me in the comments. And yeah, basically, instead of asking her how her day was and how the kids were and how Annabelle was, and, you know, whether there was anything I could do to help her, it was, no, leave me alone, I just got home from work. Actually, don't leave me alone, come sit next to me and listen to me talk at you about how shit my day, yell to you about how shit my day was. So not getting angry at her, but just like really getting passionately angry about how shit my day was. And yeah, it was a fucking dickhead move. Yeah, I could have been like, yeah, it was a shit day. Boss was an asshole, but you get that. And then I could have moved on. All right, how was your day? What do you need me to do? Would you like me to change the baby's nappy? Do you want me to look after the kids while you go try and catch up on some sleep? Absolutely anything, but I didn't. I was a fucking shithead, and it was just all me, 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 me. You know, on the odd times I'd come home and cook dinner, I'd fucking expect a ticker tape parade, fucking meh, 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 meh. You know, it didn't happen. Fucking then I'd have a shit attitude for the rest of the day and be like, oh well, if no one's gonna fucking do this for me, why am I gonna do this for them? And blah 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 blah. And it was just not the right attitude, not the right thought process. But again, I was just so depressed and chasing a dopamine rush that patting my back at the time felt good. Patting my own back at the time felt good, and it was like, all right, well, as long as this makes me feel good, I don't give a fuck. You know, the baby would wake up in the middle of the night, and instead of offering to get up, I'd storm out of the room and fucking go crack the shits, and then come back when baby had settled down, or fucking Freedom had end up leaving. Eventually she ended up sleeping in a separate bedroom, sleeping on a baby bed for a year. You know, when she left, I was asking myself, why did she fucking leave? Because I was a piece of shit. I was a massive piece of shit. And it wasn't until I started holding myself accountable that I was able to see how much of a piece of shit I was, and why I needed to change my ways. But the problem is, as is the old cliche saying, sometimes you don't realise how good you've got it until it's gone. And that's definitely the fucking case here. No idea how good I had this until she was gone. And I've tried reaching out to her and being like, can we go see couples counsellors? You know, I'm sorry, it is my fault, and the reason it didn't work last time, I was honest with her, and I just said I just wanted to shut you up and make things work. I wasn't really in the right place to make it all work, but it's too little. It was too little too late. She's not interested. Now I'm having to fight to even see my kids. I've seen them once in the last few months, which is really sucking and really taking a toll on me. But it's given me the time to look back and be like, well, there's a lot you need to fix about you before you go throwing stones. And I don't know, I figured I'd put this here because I do watch a lot of self-help YouTubes. I listen to a lot of self-help podcasts. I am really genuinely trying my ass off to be a better person, and it's been really difficult. Finding someone who doesn't sound like they wake up and they're just fucking stoked about the day is almost impossible. And who knows, maybe when I finally get there, maybe I will wake up feeling like that. But at the moment, finding someone who's real and down to earth is really difficult. And that's why I figured, because I was just going to diary all this. I was just going to write it all down at the end of a week and be like, all right, this is what I've done. This is when I got angry, and then sit down and be like, what could I have done to not get angry this time? And I'm still probably going to do that, because I don't know how much of it I'm going to be comfortable going on about it online. I mean, that's the point of this though, isn't it? Fucking hold myself accountable and embarrass myself out of being angry. I think that's what's really worked for me, is being embarrassed about my actions and being accountable for my actions as well. And that's sort of why I've really had this time to reflect. I'm about to start my diploma of counselling, So I won't just be a fuckhead talking about this online. I'll actually have some education behind me. The reason I want to do that is because I found it really difficult, like I said, really, really difficult finding somewhere to come and talk about this. I found it really difficult to not only find someone who was actually I felt like I could talk to and who was down to earth, but also find someone I could afford to talk to. You know, there was this, I'm not going to name names and shame people or anything, but there was one group and it seemed like it was really cool. Went on their website and I'm like, oh yeah, this is something that I might actually be able to get behind. And then it ended up being $80 a session, and they wanted me to go to 2 to 3 sessions a week, like 160 to 240, I think, fucking dollars a week. Like, I can't afford that. I can barely afford rent at the moment. You know, I've got a 4-bedroom house that the missus just left me in rental, and I can barely afford that, so I can't afford, like, even $80 a week was out of the question. So I've had to settle for community groups, community sessions, calling the men's health line, all that sort of stuff. And it's been helping, but again, there's just, I don't really feel like anything's actually catered to me or to people like me. Like, I'll be straight up, I'm a fucking bonghead for too long, over 20 years. I'm 36, 37. Yeah, 37, turning 38. I've been a bonghead for over 20 years. Been homeless since I was 14. I'll go into all this in future podcasts as well. Basically, what I want to do is I want to open it up with what I did for the week, what I could have done to not do that. If this takes off, possibly take some emails from people so I can give them advice on how they can work on it as well. And then, yeah, I definitely lost my train of thought there. I got to start writing things down. But yeah, basically what I want to do is I want to create a place that's you can come to when I'm live. I'll create a schedule eventually. At the moment, it's going to be once a week when I feel like doing it. Might be on a Thursday night like it is tonight. I'll probably do it on a Thursday or something so I can actually have some level of accountability. And then, yeah, we can workshop things. If you're in the chat, I'll take, questions from chat as well. I'll try and do this live. I was going to do this on my Twitch channel. That's why it's got the logo up there and everything. But I figured YouTube was more likely to have people find it if they were looking for anger management or dealing with anger or something like that. So yeah, I figured I'd come here, give this a crack, and yeah, I don't know how long it's going to go for. So far it's gone for half an hour. It feels like it's gone for 4 hours. I don't know if that's just me, because I hate public talking. Knowing that there's only one person watching is kind of relieving, and I'm pretty sure that one person is me, so that's even more relieving again. It's definitely going to be more for people watching after the fact, I believe. I mean, I'll be happy if people do show up and start asking questions, so that way I can start answering questions and not feel like I'm treading water. But I got a lot to say for the first few episodes. Like I said, I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. Made a lot of stupid decisions. Made a lot of really cool decisions. At one stage, sorry if you guys can hear that. It's not normally that loud in this nice little residential area. Like I used to run a nightclub for a little while, running all ages heavy metal events. Used to be a chef at some pretty exclusive restaurants. Met some pretty famous people. Used to be in the music scene and in a band for a little while. So there's lots to get to know about me outside of me just being an angry cunt. But at the moment, I'm not here to toot my own horn or anything like that. Excuse me, that's my armrests of my chair cracking and making horrible noises. This isn't about what I've done as much as being held accountable for what I've done for being an angry cunt. I do swear a lot. I'll try and watch it. It's part of my bogan upbringing and being homeless forever. I know it's just me hiding behind excuses, which is something that I'm learning to not do and call myself out for when I find myself doing it. Alright, some examples of me getting angry this week. I gotta say, there's two things in this world at the moment that are just pissing me off like nobody's business. The first one is my dog that refuses to listen to me. Love her to absolute death, but like the fact that she doesn't listen to me just drives me up the wall. The fact that I haven't heard her balk her head off in the last half an hour is a saving grace. I'm sure you'll get to know her bark eventually because she very rarely stays quiet for very long. I've got 3 dogs which you guys will all get to meet over the times eventually. 3 Alaskan Malamutes, or 2 males and a husky. My little wolf pack, guys that have kept me sane and stopped me from fucking putting a bullet in my head in the last 8 months, because I was in a pretty dark place. That's right, I didn't even finish fucking the whole story. So basically I was being a shit partner, wasn't helping out with the kids, was too busy patting myself on the back for doing a good job at getting back into the workforce. And like, I'm not going to negate the fact that what I did was good and impressive. I should have gone back to maybe part-time casual work, slowly got my body used to it, but I just threw myself in balls and all, and I was like, fuck it, let's get it. It's paid off for me. For the first couple of months, it was pretty bad. I hurt myself a couple of times. I had to take an extended period of time off work, and the whole time I was just angry at freedom, just misdirected anger. So I'm trying to work on that. It's really important that I work on that. And basically we were starting to drift apart, and I could really sense it. And it was coming up to my birthday, and again, making life all about me and me. We hadn't been intimate. I don't fucking blame her. Who wants to root someone that's just been fucking yelling for the last fucking half an hour about how shit their day was? No one wants to. So I was like, what's going on with us? It feels like you're sort of drifting away. I'm hoping it's not. Yada yada yada. Fucking then went to work, and didn't hear anything from her for the day. And normally she sends me a message asking me like how my day is looking, blah blah blah. I didn't hear anything. I was like, oh, okay. And then got home and she'd packed up and gone on the 4th of December, 2 days before my birthday. And I was just like, fuck. And like, for the longest time, for about a month or two, I just played the fucking victim. Fucking poor me. How could she do this? I went through this. I went through that. Now I've done this and I've done that. And like I said, it was all just a fucking excuse and something to hide behind when I hadn't done anything out of the ordinary. Like, it's a normal thing to go out and get a job. It's a normal thing to provide an income for your family so they can all eat. It's a normal thing to not rely on your partner to bring home the bacon. So yeah, she's been gone since the 4th of December 2023, and it's now the 5th of September 24. So she's been gone for 9 months, 10 months. And yeah, I deserve it. Plain and simple. I deserve it. She was like, I can't put into words how much of an amazing person she was. Or is. She's not fucking dead. You know, always looked after me, always had my back. She just, 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion. There's not another person on the fucking planet like her. So yeah, I fucked that up. And yeah, that sort of brought me to where I am now. I gotta think about my action. I've thought about my actions and I've thought about what I've done, and you know, I haven't just spent the last 10 months in self-pity and woe is me. I've actually pulled my finger out. Like I said, I went to a few anger management classes. I still attend virtual anger management classes. And I'm currently back at school, or we're about to go back to school to do my diploma in counselling for relationships and anger management, because yeah, I don't think I want to do it at a very affordable price, if not free, as often as possible, free to those who need it, just so it's available for people. And I'm hoping by the end of the 2-year course, I've found healthier ways to deal with my anger than jumping on a podcast and admitting to the world that I'm an angry rageaholic. Sure, this podcast will turn into something very different in the next 2 years once I do get my shit together. But yeah, so yeah, the 2 things that piss me off at the moment are just Kyla, my fucking dog, and driving. Kyla, I'm learning to deal with. She's just fussy. She wants to be inside or outside, and I just need to deal with that and cater to her. So that's how I can deal with that. Driving, on the other hand, driving something that I'm really struggling to get around being angry while I do. It's just so easy to be angry. It really is. It's just so easy to be angry. It's easy to yell. It's easy to crack the shits. And I don't want it to be anymore. Sorry, I was just looking out the fucking window. see what the weather's doing. So yeah, basically, this week I've been angry. I've been angry maybe 6 or 7 times, and it's fucking Thursday. And it would just be when I'm stuck behind someone doing like 5Ks under the speed limit, which I think it's like 2 miles or not even a mile under the speed limit. So like when you put it into miles, it makes it even more fucking stupid. But like in kilometers, it's really frustrating. It's my pet peeve. Sitting behind someone doing under the speed limit just bothers the absolute shit out of me. Now, I don't do anything other than just yell to myself in my car, like, you fucking dickhead, hurry the fuck up, blah, 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 blah. Never get out of the car and cut someone off and have a road rage incident or anything like that. So, like, thankfully I'm not that angry. I have once. Admittedly. This fucking asshole, he was driving and he was going like half the speed limit already in a construction zone. So the construction zones are 40 k's an hour, and he was doing 20. And then out of nowhere, he just jumps on his fucking brakes to do a U-turn in a spot you just can't do a U-turn. There was like bollards and shit that he had to run over, and it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? He's jumped on the brakes, I've jumped on the horn. And the cunt has the audacity, instead of sticking his hand out to wave, be like, oh shit, sorry man, he flips me off. So instead of letting it go, I proceed to follow this jerk off around for the next hour and a half until he finally pulls over and then runs to the back of his ute and pulls out a fucking nail gun. And I'm just like, are you serious, mate? And didn't escalate any further than that. I was basically just telling him he was a dickhead, and if you're going to be a fuckwit, maybe learn how to apologise rather than fucking standing firm and flipping someone off. Like, if I do the wrong, I might be an asshole, but if I do the wrong thing and it bothers someone, I will fucking apologise and be like, oh shit, I'm sorry, which is why I don't do the wrong thing by strangers most of the fucking time. I know this fucking need to be liked. A fucking disgusting need to be liked. So yeah, that's the only time I got super angry and fucking almost smashed someone. But outside of that, didn't really get too bad. Quitting smoking cigarettes. This is just the easiest thing to do. Not the easiest thing. Well, it is the easiest thing to do. Definitely not the healthiest thing to do. So yeah. I don't know what else to talk about. Basically, I suppose this is my first fucking podcast. I'm really sorry if the sound's fucking shithouse. Probably should have done a test to see how it worked before I went and posted it, but sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. So, yeah. I don't know. So I've been wanting to try stand-up for a little while. I've been listening to Bill Burr a lot, and he's sort of inspired me to do this. He's the inspiration behind me starting this podcast, is Mr. Bill Burr. He's surprisingly, with as angry as he is, he's made me realise how angry I am and made me look at myself and go, fuck, you need to calm down. So yeah, massive thank you to Mr. Bill Burr. That's been incredible. Yeah, I don't know, maybe next time I'll start with a joke, because I'm telling you now, after being so vulnerable, I'm not feeling so fucking funny. And then I'm sort of learning how to format jokes. I have funny anecdotes, but I just don't know exactly how to make them all fucking make them all work. Like, if you ever notice when you go down to Bunnings, you go to buy something and they're like, alright, here you go. Now, do you need a warranty on this? And you're like, nah, should be right. You get it home, use it 5 times, and then all of a sudden it fucking breaks. And you got to go back and you're like, oh, what? Go back to the help desk and you're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, look, I just want to get a swap on this. And they're like, oh, no, sorry, we can't do that. It's like, why? I got the extended warranty. They're like, nah. The extended warranty, you actually have to send it off to the manufacturer. I'm like, so you're telling me I have to go without what I have while this thing gets fucking snail mailed off to fucking Germany to get fixed by fucking Hans and the rest of the fucking people out there. And meanwhile, my grass is going to grow so big that the next time when I get this fucking thing back, exactly the same thing's going to happen again. I'm going to fucking destroy my whole lawnmower because the grass is too fucking long. Like, come on. Oh, we're sorry, we can't help you with that, you know. Sometimes these things just happen. Maybe if you got a gas lawn, yeah, get fucked if I had a gas lawnmower. Fuck off. Trying to do the right thing and get shit on. Yeah, I don't know. It probably wasn't all that funny, but anyway. Look, it's been 45 minutes, so I'm surprised it lasted that long. If you want to have a talk or anything like that, hit me up at ampc3977@outlook.com. Just title it the Dealing with Anger podcast, and yeah, I'll read it and get back to it and see how we can work on things to try and make it work. I don't know what I'm going to do as far as like having a video up here. Like, do you guys want to look at me while I talk? Are you amused by my seeming lack of interest in myself? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'll speak to you guys next week. Actually, no, fuck that. Give me 2 more seconds. I just got to think about it. Alright, so basically, in summary, what we're going to do is, in order to try and work through our anger, what I want you to do is hold yourself accountable. Something that I'm working on when I'm driving is, instead of getting angry straight away, I pretend that the person in the car in front of me is like my family member or something like that. And I think, how would I act if I was sitting behind them? Would I be fucking yelling, cracking the shits and being angry, or would I just be like, oh, what a peanut, they're going a little bit slower? And that tends to diffuse my anger a lot in those sort of situations. It's not as easy as remembering that on the spot every single time, but practice makes perfect. So, you know, if you've got issues with anger around driving and road rage, maybe give that a try. And then if you go to overtake the person, don't flip them off, don't wind your window down, don't stare at them, because I can guarantee you, when you drive past that person, their reaction is going to piss you off even fucking more. And instead of just driving on, you're going to become the asshole and start doing 10k below what they were doing in front of them just to make a point. And it's not worth it. You know, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind. And I'm starting to try and use that as my mantra. You know, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind. So we've got to all work together and try and push through. Not get so fucking angry all the time. Alright, I spoke too soon about my dogs not making any noise. They need to go outside, so I'm going to call it here. I appreciate you all having a watch, having a listen, whether it's fucking on the 5th of the 9th, 2024, or whether it's the 5th of the 9th, 2038, when I'm long and dead. I don't know if I'll be dead by then. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. Look after yourselves. look after each other, and just remember, it's not that fucking serious. Alright, sometimes it's okay to get angry, but it's not okay to let it out. Sometimes you just gotta stop taking yourself so seriously and just realise the world's not out to get you. People aren't gonna go out of their way to piss you off. That's not what they're doing, and that's not what's happening. Even though sometimes it feels like it is, that's not what's going on. So you just need to get it out of your head that that's what's happening, and just try and smile a little bit more. Smiling releases endorphins. It makes you genuinely feel better. And yeah, just try and be positive. It's not as easy as it sounds, but maybe one day for you it'll fucking become easier. Hopefully for me it'll become easier as well, but we'll work through this one day at a time. This is the first day of the Dealing with Anger podcast. You guys have a good one. I appreciate you. Peace.